The moment they leave, your first reaction decides everything. Not because one message can bring them back. Not because one apology can make them suddenly remember your worth. And not because one emotional conversation will undo what they already chose to do. It decides everything because, in that first moment, you are standing between two versions of yourself. One version panics. One version begs. One version sends long messages, checks the phone every few minutes, replays every memory, and tries to prove that the love was real. But the other version pauses, breathes, feels the pain without letting the pain take control. That version understands something most people only learn after losing too much of themselves. When someone leaves, your job is not to chase them back. Your job is to not abandon yourself while they are walking away. Because being left hurts. There is no need to pretend it does not. It can make your chest feel heavy. It can make ordinary rooms feel empty. It can make silence feel like punishment. But what you do with that silence matters. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can say is nothing. The first instinct after being left is often to beg. Not because you are weak, because you are hurt. Because your mind is trying to close a wound that opened too quickly. You want one more conversation, one more explanation, one more chance to make them remember the version of you they once said they loved. So you start reaching. You explain your pain. You remind them of the good moments. You ask what changed. You ask why they stopped caring. And with every message, something painful begins to happen. You start placing your value in the hands of the person who just walked away. Begging does not prove your love. It proves that you are willing to abandon yourself just to be chosen again. And that is where the real damage begins. Because the person who leaves may already be gone. But if you keep chasing, you leave yourself too. You teach them that your presence has no boundary, that your heart can be mishandled and still come running back, that your pain can be ignored and still beg for attention. Love should never require you to kneel in front of someone who made a choice to leave. If they walked away, let them walk. Not because it does not hurt, but because your dignity must survive what your heart is trying to understand. Silence feels unbearable at first, especially when your heart is still reaching for someone who has already stepped away. You want to explain. You want to correct the story. You want to make them feel what you are feeling, because maybe if they understood the depth of your pain, they would turn around. But silence creates weight, because it does something your words cannot do. It stops the emotional performance. It stops giving them proof that you are still waiting at the same place they left you. Silence does not mean you stopped caring. It means you stopped handing your pain to someone who was not careful with it. There is a difference. When you say nothing, you are not pretending to be strong. You are choosing not to let your wound speak for you. You are allowing the space between you to become real. And that space teaches both of you something. It teaches them that your presence was never guaranteed. And it teaches you that you can survive the urge to chase. That is where quiet power begins. Not in punishment, not in games, but in the moment you stop bleeding in front of someone who chose to walk away. Do not send the emotional message. Not tonight. Not while your hands are shaking. Not while your chest is tight and your mind is begging for one sentence that will make the pain smaller. Because pain writes differently. Pain exaggerates. Pain explains too much. Pain begs to be seen by the very person who chose not to stay. And later, when the storm inside you calms down, you may look at that message and feel another kind of hurt. The hurt of knowing you handed someone your rawest wound, and they still did not treat it gently. So pause. Put the phone down. Let the message sit without sending it. If you need to write, write it in your notes. Write everything. The anger, the questions, the memories. The part of you that wants to say, "How could you leave like this?" But do not give your panic direct access to them. Your dignity deserves a waiting period. 24 hours. 1 night of sleep. 1 walk outside. 1 meal. 1 moment where your nervous system is not speaking from emergency. Because the message you send from panic is often not the truth of your heart. It is the voice of abandonment trying to survive the first wave. Let the wave pass before you decide what deserves to be said. When someone leaves, your routine may be the first thing that breaks. You stop sleeping at normal hours. You forget to eat properly. You check your phone before your feet touch the floor. You sit in the same room, surrounded by the same objects, but somehow everything feels unfamiliar. That is what heartbreak does. It makes your own life feel like a place you no longer know how to live inside. So do not try to rebuild everything at once. Start small. Get up. Drink water. Take a shower. Open the curtains. Walk outside for 10 minutes. Make your bed even if your heart feels undone. These things may look ordinary, but they are not meaningless. Routine is how you tell your nervous system, "I am still here." It is how you return to yourself when your emotions keep trying to run back to them. Do not wait until you feel strong. Strength often begins at a structure. A simple morning, a quiet meal, 1 completed task, 1 clean space, 1 promise kept. Every time you choose your routine over obsession, you take back a small part of your life, and small parts become a person again. Your absence only becomes powerful when it becomes real, not when you announce it. Not when you post quotes hoping they will understand. Not when you disappear for 2 days, then return the moment they send 1 careless message. Real absence is different. It is quiet, consistent, unexplained. It means they no longer have easy access to your reactions. They no longer get to disturb your peace whenever they feel bored, lonely, guilty, or unsure. They no longer get the comfort of knowing you are still waiting in the same emotional place. And this is where many people misunderstand silence. Silence is not a strategy to make them suffer. It is not revenge. It is not a performance. It is the natural result of finally choosing yourself. When you stop chasing, they may not feel it immediately. At first, they may think you will come back like before. They may expect another message, another explanation, another attempt to be understood. But when nothing arrives, the space begins to speak. They begin to feel the difference between someone being quiet and someone being gone. And by then, your silence is no longer pain. It is self-respect. Your peace is what they notice last. At first, they may notice your silence, then your distance, then the fact that you are no longer reacting the way you used to. But peace is different. Peace cannot be faked for long. It shows up in the way you stop checking your phone with fear, in the way you no longer build your day around whether they return, in the way you stop posting to prove you are fine and simply start becoming fine in private. That kind of peace has weight, because it tells the truth without needing to explain it. It says, "I was hurt, but I am not destroyed." It says, "You left, but I did not disappear." It says, "I can miss you and still choose myself." And that is what makes people notice. Not your sadness, not your anger, not your attempt to make them jealous. Your calm, your self-respect, your refusal to keep performing pain for someone who already knows they hurt you. When your peace becomes real, their access to your emotions becomes weaker. And whether they regret it or not, something far more important happens. You finally stop needing their reaction to know your own value. So if they left, let this be the moment you stop chasing what already walked away. Not with hatred, not with revenge, not because your heart suddenly stopped hurting, but because you finally understand that your silence can be a form of protection. You do not have to send one more message to prove your love was real. You do not have to explain your pain to someone who had the chance to care. You do not have to stand at the door of someone else's decision, waiting to be invited back into a place where your value was questioned. Let them leave, and while they are gone, come back to yourself. Come back to your breath, your routine, your dignity, your peace, your future. The version of you that stopped begging is not cold. That version is healing. That version is learning that love should not require self-abandonment. And silence is not the absence of feeling. Sometimes, silence is the first sound of self-respect returning. If this message spoke to the part of you that is tired of chasing, leave a simple comment below. I choose silence, not for them, for yourself, as a reminder that you are no longer begging to be chosen. And if you are rebuilding your power quietly, subscribe and stay with us. New videos come every week to help you choose peace, self-respect, and emotional control when walking away feels impossible.